The book of Abraham contains the following account of the discovery of Egypt by the descendants of Ham. The land of Ham was first discovered by a woman who was the daughter of Ham and the daughter of Egyptus. This woman discovered the land when it was under water, who afterwards settled her sons in it, and thus from Ham sprang the race which preserved the curse in the land. Thereafter, the first government of Egypt was established by Pharaoh, the eldest son of Egyptus, the daughter of Ham. This genealogy in the book of Abraham reflects the names of the characters as printed in the March 1st, 1842 issue of the Times and Seasons. Two of the names, however, are rendered differently in the 1835 Kirtland-era Book of Abraham manuscripts. The name of Ham's wife in all three Kirtland-era manuscripts is either Zeptah or Zeptah. Additionally, the name of Ham and Zeptah's daughter is Egyptes in the Kirtland-era manuscripts as opposed to Egyptus. The name Zeptah stands out since it could very plausibly be a rendering of the Egyptian name Zeptah, meaning son of Ptah. This name, as well as its feminine equivalent, daughter of Ptah, Sat Ptah, is attested during the likely time of Abraham. It is also the name of an Egyptian king who lived many centuries after Abraham. The spelling of the name with a Z as opposed to an S is not a problem for the Book of Abraham, since in the Egyptian language of Abraham's day, these two consonants were pronounced the same like English S as in set. They were essentially one consonant in the language of this time and could often be written interchangeably. The name Egyptus is clearly related to the name Egypt, which comes from the Greek Aegyptos. Aegyptos is a rendering of one of the Egyptian names for the ancient city of Memphis, which contains the theophoric Ptah element, Hut Ka Ptah, literally the estate of the Ka of the god Ptah. Since Egyptus is a Greek name that would be anachronistic for Abraham's day, it might reflect the work of ancient scribes transmitting the text who updated the name centuries later. This may have been the case with the name Zeptah as well. We don't know for certain why Joseph Smith changed the names Zeptah and Egyptes when he published the Book of Abraham in 1842. The change from Egyptes to Egyptus might easily be explained as the modern scribes for the Book of Abraham originally hearing the name and being corrected later. The change from Zeptah to Egyptus is harder to explain. It could have been the result of scribe Willard Richards incorrectly copying the name shortly before the Book of Abraham was published. Another possibility is that the prophet or one of his scribes who read through the text of the Book of Abraham beforehand substituted a more familiar name for the less familiar one to make it more consistent with other names in the texts. But why would a woman have a man's name like Zeptah? One possibility is that the name was confused by ancient scribes copying the text after Abraham's lifetime. This seems to have happened before to other ancient Egyptian figures, including potentially a male Egyptian king named Nefertari-Siptah, who lived before Abraham's time and who appears to have been mistaken as a beautiful woman for almost 2,000 years because of ancient scribal mistakes. Perhaps a similar problem happened when the Book of Abraham was copied over the centuries. Alternatively, Egyptologist Vivian G. Callender argues that Nefertari-Siptah was in fact a woman ruler named Nefertiti-Siptah, despite the masculine form of Siptah in her name. Quote, perhaps the presence of the phrase son of Ptah should have been a specific tribute, may have been a specific tribute to the Memphite god, who was particularly prominent at this time. The masculinity of this name is not a problem for a feminine ruler because the masculine filiation Sahrach was later used by other female rulers such as Sobek-Nefru, who fluctuated between using male and female nomenclature. Sobek-Nefru, Hatshepsut, and Tausret all used various forms of masculine display or titulary when they were rulers. So if she had been a female ruler, perhaps Nate Ikreti may have done the same, and the title Sa Patach may have been used to indicate that her monarchy was different from that of the other rulers who used Sa-Ra in the Old Kingdom, end of quote. If this argument is correct, then we would have an attested ancient Egyptian female personality using precisely the same masculine name as in the Book of Abraham. While we may not be able to currently answer these questions entirely, what can be said is that the name Zeptah in the Book of Abraham is arguably authentically Egyptian.